Welcome to MMA Fancast. My name's Luke. We are a week away from 247 Fighting Championships, Brawl in the Berg 13, which is going to be at Monroeville Convention Center. And my next guest, and new to the show, is going to be making his MMA debut at that event, Brawl in the Berg 13. Say hi to Billy Myers. Billy, welcome to the show.
How's it going?
I'm very excited to have you on the show. Welcome, welcome. It's always fantastic to see people that are making their MMA debut. I know you're described as a big middleweight. This is going to be an exciting fight. What was your sports background prior to anything martial arts related?
So growing up, I was always around athletics. Tried anything from baseball to soccer whenever I was younger. But once I got into middle school and high school, I started focusing a little bit more on three specific sports, and that was wrestling, football, and track.
Okay.
I was a three-sport all the way through high school and enjoyed all those different sports. Got into martial arts sometime around college whenever I had a coach that was into MMA, and he would teach us jiu-jitsu and different moves of that order. And through high school, I had people on the wrestling team that would kind of know arm bars or know different things, and we'd watch UFC fights, and you'd see different things and you'd try to replicate them on the mat. And some people would know what they're doing, some people don't, but it was you were getting mat time and experience nonetheless.
Sure. And what college were you wrestling? You said you were at a college for wrestling. So where was that?
So I wrestled at York College for 2 years until the pandemic shut us down.
Sure. Of course. I bet that led to a lot of changes. Is that when you officially started training MMA at like an actual MMA gym? Like what led you to make that transition?
Yeah, I started having a lot more free time. We weren't really allowed to train on the books per se. So a lot of guys, we would either be going on runs or be doing different training, just looking for mats, looking for stuff to do. And there was some people training jiu-jitsu at different areas. And it wasn't really until I actually left York that I seriously started getting into it. But there was always training going on whenever the pandemic hit. You just had to know where to go.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. I've had people on the show. Most of the people that are on the show that talked about training during the pandemic with like sometimes lights off or things that people couldn't see from outside, they were already into MMA. So it's interesting that you kind of increased your connection to MMA. Where are you training? And what's it been like finding the mixed martial arts, meaning striking, grappling, which you already have, jiu-jitsu, all the different aspects of mixed martial arts? What's that been like for you?
It's been pretty fun. I've been training out of a place called Alliance, PA, where I started that journey right around, let's say, close to a year ago. I started training with Alliance specifically. There's been a few other gyms that I like to go to, but Alliance has been the main one. There's a guy over there, Chris Downing, who is really awesome, and he's able to tie up a few of the things. He is extremely high level in jiu-jitsu, and when you're around combatives, you just kind of start learning other things about tying it all together. If you're a jiu-jitsu practitioner, you kind of start to see like, oh, this is a place where I could get punched, or you see vulnerable areas, and you really get to see what it's like, with that, putting it all together and how hard it can actually be.
Certainly. And I think it's exciting to have people young like you, three-sport athlete, meaning you're used to training your mind to react to different scenarios. The football is great for explosivity, hitting, using your mind, being aggressive, wrestling, obviously for the grappling. What was your events in track?
In track, I specialized in high jump, long jump, and triple. and 100 meter. But my senior year, I just kind of started doing everything I could. I was doing anything from long distance, but I would mainly just stick to the jumping.
Well, that's fantastic. I did not set that question up. I've been a jump coach for Waynesburg College, a D3 college down in Waynesburg. I'm no longer doing it, but I was for on and off for about over a decade. And my specialties were in triple high and long. So that's fantastic. Let me ask you a question specific to jumping, because I remember when I was first getting interested in watching mixed martial arts and then coaching and training mixed martial arts a little bit, I would always connect it back to jumping, because jumping in track, particularly the three that you mentioned, are so technical, but they happen in a second, under a second, 2 seconds. And you have to be really focused on technique. Have you seen a connection? I know it might sound strange, but have you seen a connection to being very aware of your technique, particularly in striking, grappling, the jiu-jitsu, from the focus you had to have from the jumps?
Absolutely. There's a split second of time, like you said, but you're learning to train your mind, almost how to react and not quite think about it, because there's a lot of other factors you have to be thinking of, and just creating that muscle memory in those fibrous muscles to react whenever and fire off when they're supposed to. You're not thinking, okay, next this whenever you're sprinting down the lane, you're not thinking this step, this step, this step, this step. You have done it so many times at that point that you're just kind of naturally doing it. You're almost having fun with it at that point. Then all that time has kind of paid off whenever you just go and you explode and you do it. And that's why you want to create good habits when you're doing it, because if whenever you're exploding, you're not quite thinking of every single step. And if you're already thinking of every single step, then the battle's kind of won before it's fought. You kind of gotta do all the right things beforehand, so that whenever you're firing it off and going full speed, it just kind of comes natural.
And I think that's a great explanation for really being great at any sport, whether it's the Williams sister with Serena just retiring, being able to do movements without really thinking, because you practice the habits correctly. Let's get to a specific habit. What has been the most, I guess I'll use the word exciting or enjoyable habit to learn that's specific to MMA, whether it's a jiu-jitsu move or whether it's striking, something that you're getting the foundation. For me, when I was teaching kickboxing, I'd always work on the jab, because a really good jab will make a difference. No matter if you're fighting at low level all the way up to championship level, a good jab makes a huge difference, or a bad jab can make a big difference too. So what have you really enjoyed sort of developing fundamentally the most in this last couple of years of training MMA?
I really love the entire ride. I mean, the jiu-jitsu is so, it's always so much fun. It's good for I think everybody should be doing it. I think they should get involved in schools. Wrestling's good for you, but jiu-jitsu would also be another good thing to add. But more specifically, the just working on striking, I would say the jab is incredibly important, and something that's been challenging, but I've been trying to put a lot of work into is honestly my leg kicks. That's made a substantial difference in the UFC over the past couple of years, and watching that and being a wrestler as myself, we don't practice any leg kicks, so I've been kind of hammering away at those, making sure that those are well. But the jiu-jitsu has been hands down the most fun part of the entire ride. I look forward to going to jiu-jitsu every single day, and if I don't hit in go to enough classes that week, I something feels off for sure.
Well, let's talk about the fight. We're a week away. It's very exciting. Your debut at the Monroeville Convention Center for 247 Fighting Championships. What would you like to see yourself do that night? If you want to make a prediction, now's your time. Or if you just want to focus on kind of saying what your mindset will be for your own performance.
Yeah, my mindset is just kind of go out there and have some fun, learn from the experiences, no matter which way they go. I'm not in a realm yet where I'm like kind of killmonger mode, where I'm going to go out there and try to, I don't know who the guy is, honestly. So just going to go out there, learn from the experience, enjoy the ride. There's a lot to be learned on my side of things. I think everybody always does have something to learn. So I'm going to go out there. I'm going to be practicing the habits I've been creating, and just enjoy the ride, learn from the experience, and just get better from it.
Well, that's a wonderful mindset to have for those that are making the trip with you. I'm sure they've already gotten their tickets from you. That always supports yourself, but also 247fighting.com will have a pay-per-view. And if any of your friends or family are watching you on the 247fighting.com pay-per-view, they can obviously select you to watch you. So I'm sure it'll be very exciting for everyone. I can't wait to meet you in person and be cage side for your debut and to see what happens. It's always really special to take all the background you have, not just in MMA, but also in all the sports we've talked about and MMA, and kind of see what actually happens when it comes down to fight night. So thanks so much for taking time out of your morning, a week out here. I really appreciate getting to know you a little bit. Billy Myers, thanks everyone for listening and watching MMA Fancast with Luke Basin. Thanks so much, Billy.
Thanks a lot, Luke.
You got it. Take care.